I mean, I think this social media thing and the internet that we built, this creature, I mean, we're now starting to understand, like, what's the biology and psychology, what's the psychology of this creature that we interact with constantly and that we're a part of. It's wild.
It is a creature. It has a personality, right? And it's a split personality. It's a borderline personality.
My current girlfriend she's trained in CS and AI she has an undergrad and a grad degree from Stanford. No, we didn't meet at Stanford. This is like a theory on the internet. No, she worked at Meta after that, and now but she teaches AI online. It's awesome. I don't understand most of it. She's brainiac. She's like, it's a brain. Like the internet is a brain. It's a nervous system. It's a neural system, and it has personality and it has dimensionality to it. And it's kind of interesting. For the last 15 years, it was all about neuroscience. Everything's the brain. Now it's all about math and AI. Everyone's talking math and AI. The kids coming up are into it. I'm trying to learn these large language models, what they mean. I mean, I barely understand the top contour. But yeah, it's an organism. It has expression. It has moods. It hallucinates. I know this, but AI has hallucinations, and then it gives you the wrong thing. And like, it's wild. And I'm not afraid of it. I'm excited. Like, here we go. This might as well be skateboarding, punk rock, podcasting. Like, this is the next iteration.
Have you tried to AI yourself on one of the? Have you said, "Hey, I'm feeling kind of low energy today. What would Andrew Huberman advise me to do?" Have you tried that?
I haven't. I mean, I played around with ChatGPT a little bit. We have an AI thing for our podcast. My team built it. Some people prefer that. I'm not cautious. I haven't gotten around to it. I'm a purist. I'm trying to get back to nature.
But you haven't just tried what I just said.
No.
So I've done it with myself.
Okay.
Because people say, oh, it's so awesome. And so I would ask it, let's say, a leadership question. And what I've found is it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's not quite there. Like there's a certain, what's the uncanny valley that Rogan talks about all the time? How when you see a picture or you see AI generated person on a TV, you're like, it's not quite right. You know there's something wrong with it. So the answers that when there's like obviously a large language model of me, it's going to have all my podcasts and it's got all my books. So it's got a lot of my thoughts that it can capture. And what I notice is it gives a very good answer that definitely sounds like it could be me. And then there's some little thing that you go, didn't quite nail it. But because it didn't quite nail it, it also is great at giving itself an out, kind of a caveat. So the end of the answer, it says, and by the way, all leadership situations are different. So this particular approach may not be appropriate for the situation that you're in. So if I asked AI Huberman, if I said, hey, I'm feeling low energy today, what should I do? It would say, well, you want to make sure that you have woken up and gotten some good sunlight in your eyes, perhaps do 30 minutes of zone 2 cardio. It would give me a list of things to do. And then it would say at the end, of course, the human body is a complex organism, and these may not be the right answer. So it gives itself an out. Even after it gives information, it gives itself an out.
Amazing.
It's pretty clever.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, my girlfriend's been like trying to encourage me to use more of these tools, right? And I'm listening. I listen. And I'm slowly moving up to using them because it does sound like it can generate, also for generating email responses. I'm not the quickest on email. I'm not the quickest on text message, admittedly. What's funny, when text messaging first came out, I remember I was a postdoc at Stanford. It was probably around 2007 that, Facebook was cropping up, and like, I think I had a flip phone. People still had sidekicks back then. And I remember thinking, like, people are texting. I remember thinking to myself, this is my thought then.
Why don't you just call?
I thought, this is so dumb. This is so dumb. This is like people that passed notes in class. Who passed notes in class? I was like, well, I didn't pass notes in class. If I needed to talk to somebody, I'd talk to them, or I'd wait till after class. Half the time I wasn't in class. But anyway, go to class, folks. Go to class. Trust me, trying to make up for lost time is very, very hard. Don't do that. Skateboard after school, skateboard before school. Do your thing. Go to class. But I remember thinking, this is so stupid and indirect and doesn't make sense. And it felt like whispering. Like I always, my dad, because my dad's old school. This kind of goes back to what we were talking a little bit about before, and adopting kind of scripts within your head. My dad's Argentine, okay? And he's pretty traditional. I grew up with a lot of kind of like hearing about a lot of traditional stuff. My parents are diametrically opposed politically. They ended up divorced. They're both happily in other things. Cool. But, you internalize some of those scripts. And I remember him telling me when I was a kid, because I had a friend over, male friend, and he whispered to me. And my dad goes, no. He goes, no whispering. You want to say something? You say it. And I was like, okay. Like, I can still remember that, right? I don't know if that's good or bad. It sounds good. We all love these stories of parents being very clear, right? But then, sometimes the things we internalize don't serve us well, right? Because what if you can't say it to somebody, or it's like overwhelms you to try and say it, then like, do you not say it? Like, that gets you into trouble. That's not good. And so I think, taking these scripts that exist, like these like if-thens, they're worth challenging internally. I'm doing a lot of that lately. Mm-hmm. I do that kind of like what are the scripts in my head? Like, what do I really believe? Because especially when you start getting feedback that's so different than the way you know yourself and that the people close to you know, you should go like, I would hate the idea that someone would think like I was like unkind even, or so I think we have to address these scripts. And so I think that we were talking about AI. I think is AI going to have will AI feel proud, guilty, haughty? I don't know. It sounds like it will. I've asked Harper this. My girl, I've like asked her, and she's just like, oh yeah, no, it has feelings, it hallucinates, like it knows. And it all makes sense to her because she thinks in math, she's math dimensionality. And I'm like, whoa. And it's scary to me, but it's here to stay. There's no question. It's here to stay. I think we're all going to have, I'm told, an AI twin where you'll go, hey, Jocko, or hey, Echo, like, what do I need to do today? And it's going to say, yeah, you think you're tired, but you're not tired. Or you think you don't need rest, but you need rest. Like, it will know you based on biometrics better than you know you. Mm-hmm. Now that's scary. But then again, that's the kind of therapist I want. Mm-hmm. Knows me better than I know me, as opposed to me trying to explain things with words. I mean, I've already tried that. I've already tried to explain myself with words, and that didn't go so well.
So you were talking about James Hollis, and I know you just went out to interview him, and you actually had sent me a video of him talking about creating a life. It's probably an hour and a half long, but it was very interesting to go through that. And we've kind of touched on some of the stuff that he talks about in that, but one of the things that he talks about is your vocation, and he breaks down the etymology of vocation, meaning it's not just your job, it's what you're actually called to do in life. And then you get the things that society is telling you to do, and your family's telling you to do, and the materialistic is telling you to do, and your ego is telling you. So you got all those things, and they're kind of at war or at odds with this psyche, this human spirit that you have. And what he says, which is interesting, is you can't outrun the psyche of an unlived life. So if you're not doing what you're truly called to do, that creates problems, that creates issues. And when you're trying to figure out where you're at, when you're trying to think through, do you think you landed your vocation? Do you think you got it done?
Oh man. Well, first of all, Hollis is amazing, and we would normally not travel with our studio to interview someone, but he wasn't able to travel, and he said exactly that. He talked about he framed it in an interesting way. He said, he said, I don't think we should immediately applaud people that have a 50-year marriage. And I thought, what? And he's been married a very long time. He goes, yeah, because sometimes inside that 50-year marriage, there's a soul death of one or both people. And as a kid from a divorced home who still would very much like to have a marriage and family, working very hard to make the changes in me that would be required to do that, obviously. That sort of broke my heart. And on the other hand, I said, like, what are you talking about? And he's like, listen, in those moments where we're not in stimulus response, we can hear what our soul wants. That's what the psyche and the soul wants, our expression. And if we don't listen to it, it's the saddest thing of all, because there's no way you can go through life without feeling you lived the right life. And so for me, I have both a blessing and a curse. The curse is that I can't help it but to do what I believe in. And that's the blessing too. So when I was a kid, I'll go through this quickly. I loved tropical fish. Then I loved birds. I was obsessed. I'd spend all day at the aquarium store and at the bird store and just logging them. And eventually I got these great cheat dwarf parrots and they shit all over my room and made everyone miserable, squawking. And it was a disaster. And then I hit puberty and then I fell in love with skateboarding and the stuff peripheral to that, and discovered girls, and like it was super exciting. And then punk rock music, and then it was biology and neuroscience and psychology and biopsychology and then run a lab, and those were all, and it was just I just couldn't and can't stop myself. That's what I love. It's like what I just bask in it. And then when it came to podcasting, it was like Rob Moore, he was going to be my book agent because he does some publicity stuff, but he does the Fight with Teddy Atlas podcast. And like this guy, I was telling him, he's a punk rocker. He doesn't even know it. He didn't even know what that is. Like, he drives a Tesla, he parts his hair. He's like real good looking guy, and his wife's a real squared away life, everything. And I'm like, but he's just got this spirit. He runs triathlons, and he's just got this spirit. And I just like sense it. And I was like, let's do a podcast. He was like, okay, we set it up. It was like, go. There was never a should we, do we. Get Mike Blayback from DC, be the photographer. Bring two guys, Martin Foes and Chris Ray they have this video production company. They worked for DC. They're from down here, kind of Orange County guys, skateboarders. Bring them together. Ian, Mackey, Stanford Media, like get all the guys together, do the podcast. Could not stop us. Couldn't stop ourselves. And we were just all on the plane ride back last night from DC, and everyone's like editing and working and doing, and I'm like, this is the best.